Well, that Trump is there.
Yeah, we'll just keep going this way.
You can see the magic word Trump. This is actually the entrance, I think, for people.
Charles, Mary Schwanza.
Mary Schwanza. It's good to know that Nancy Pelosi is not a virtue signaler.
Well, but also Schwanza is not a thing. She
I
made
know.
that up.
I know, but to sit there, and, this is her exit period now, where she's going off to just be an ordinary, quote, member of Congress, and she's exulting in the amount of power she had as Speaker, doing all this virtue signaling. Now, Kwanzaa, I'm sorry to say, since I've studied a lot of African history, is a complete fraud.
Yeah, somebody made it up, right?
Complete fraud. It's just
I like
BLM.
Schwanza better anyway.
I know, so she's not virtue signaling. She's saying, Merry Christmas and Happy Schwanza.
I'm glad that we're having the Charles Ortel Schwanza special, because I forgot to celebrate Festivus with Cullen on Friday.
That's the airing of the grievances?
The airing of the grievances and also the poll and everything. But I saw a great Seinfeld documentary about the writer on Seinfeld who created the Festivus episode. His family actually celebrated Festivus, and it came from his father's mind. And the guy was
hilarious.
Yeah, they asked him, what does your father think about it? And he said his father said, vindicated. Because now Festivus is, I guess, a national holiday. Now,
well, here we have Trump Cafe, Trump Grill, Trump Sweets. You would think at the top of this it would say Trump Card.
Well, right, or Trump 2024. I was just inside here a moment ago waiting for you,
Watch
Charles.
yourself.
Yeah, we see the counterterrorism police inside there.
And the police right there. Not much, though, defending this place. Anybody can just come in and out.
Well, but the thing that's interesting about the counterterrorism police of the NYPD, I confirmed with that guy just now that it was created after 9/11 and that they work with the FBI. He said that through the JTTF, which is
work.
No, I mean, they are a unit of the NYPD that reacts at the behest of the FBI through something called the Joint Terrorism Task Force, which was created after 9/11. And there were a number of things that happened after 9/11.
Go up to the park?
Sure,
Yeah.
wherever you'd like to go.
Let's go up to the park and down 6th, maybe, or down.
I came up through Times Square on the way up here to meet you, and it might be worthwhile
We can do that.
for people to see that. I mean,
Sure.
I like doing all this Christmassy type stuff, and
Schwanza-y.
Schwanza-y type stuff around New York City. And thanks to everybody who's joining us, taking time away from their own family celebration of Schwanza to join us. And I really want to thank all of the viewer sponsors that have supported the show throughout the years and kept it going. People who are watching on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth or Odyssey now are really helping keep the show going. And Charles, there's been an amazing array of research that I've been doing even since I released
your magnum opus?
The 5-part expose on the Twitter coup.
Which is really, I don't give compliments lightly. It's very well written.
Thank you.
And very thoughtful, and I think groundbreaking. And an example of the type of work that the mainstream media is incapable of doing, accurate work that gives the sources. I mean, you're weaving together in some places an interesting and probably pretty good working hypothesis, which you're entirely allowed to do based on my reading of the Constitution. But what you do that is special in there, in addition to writing well, is you give the readers who are interested a chance to check the source documents for themselves.
Right.
A lot of times what goes on the NBC, ABC, CBS, even under the New York Times or WAPO banners is just fantasy, frankly. All this
sources say.
Well, yeah. Look at the Russia hoax for which the various, I think it's the New York Times people won Pulitzer Prizes. It was absolutely false, right? And they still have not done the kind of mea culpa that a responsible news organization would do and say, we really effed up.
They need a retraction.
A retraction, firing, a change in procedures, real penalties. They should give the Pulitzer Prizes back. They shouldn't be, waiting for somebody to say, if they were a serious organization. But of course they're not, which is why I don't read the paper and never will again. Is that Nancy Pelosi?
That's channeling the dog is channeling Nancy Pelosi. Thank you for those compliments, Charles, and I hope that
well
our viewers
deserved.
will go to crowdsourcethetruth.medium.com and read that article.
All 6 of them, right?
Well, there's 5,
Plus
and then the 6th one is the sources page. I've added something to the sources page this morning, Charles, and I sent it to you, but I think it's important that we let everybody know about it.
Yeah, let's keep
I've
here.
discovered overnight, let me just read this to you real quick, this
Yeah,
audit of the roles and
Let's
responsibilities
just get
of
off
the
this side.
Federal Bureau of Investigation's Office of the General Counsel in National Security Matters. Now, this is a report written by the Department of Justice, Office of the Inspector General, and the report only came out September 2022. I've been scouring the internet trying to determine when this Office of the General Counsel was created, and I couldn't find it until I located this document this morning. It's telling us about the evolution of the FBI's Office of the General Counsel,
Right.
and that in October of 1993, as part of a major reorganization of how the FBI utilized its attorneys, then FBI Director Louis Freeh created the Office of the General Counsel and eliminated the FBI's Legal Counsel Division. So, Charles, I have somewhat answered my own question, which for a long time has been, what the hell is this Office of the General Counsel at the FBI doing? Because it seems to be causing a lot of trouble, and I've learned some things. Like Louis Freeh, he was in
Bad guy.
the SEC, and he was a...
SEC?
Well, you know what? I need to do this when I have all the data in front of me. But I came to some information that caused me to believe that Louis Freeh and Valerie Caproni had worked together prior to their time in the FBI. You know, here in New York, he was involved in the Southern District of New York. He was a judge. He was a U.S. attorney and all this stuff. So it seemed like there was a tight crew of people who all knew each other. And I want to, you know, Louis Freeh, he got a law degree from, I'm pretty sure NYU or maybe Rutgers. He's a New Jersey guy, and he did something at NYU.
Yeah. Well, he's a bad guy. I mean, if you go into the whole Clinton Foundation stuff, he figures in that.
Right.
He had that mysterious accident.
Well, he failed to investigate the death of
Vince
Vince
Foster.
Foster. He was put in there by Bill Clinton right when they kicked out
Sorry.
William
your bike?
Sessions. Not my bike. They kicked out William Sessions. They
Right.
put in Louis Freeh. They failed to investigate the death of
Vince
Foster. We don't have a good explanation why the FBI fails to investigate the death of a federal employee like Vince Foster, but then becomes very involved in investigating or doing something with the death of Seth Rich, who is not a federal employee. So the FBI has all this discretion.
Right, that's the problem.
And what Louis Freeh did is he introduced this Office of the General Counsel, and he's a lawyer. He understood very well what a lawyer in charge at the FBI could do, and obviously he did this because there was something they wanted to do that they couldn't do.
Right.
And then that Office of the General Counsel shortly after gets weaponized. And I've noticed, Charles, this is part of their MO. One guy will do something that seems reasonable, the FBI Office of the General Counsel, and then somebody else later will nudge it along in a political climate that, like post 9/11, it seems like this is something we want to do. And the whole time we don't realize this is a plan to weaponize the thing that they're going to activate 10 years later and screw us all. And that seems to be what happened.
Well, and you know, you get into, not you, but people can get into the minutia and miss some very important points. The first point is all of the haters who hate America, that's most of the Biden administration, most of the bureaucracy, and everybody who's trying to keep their overpaid, do nothing or do too much bad stuff, government jobs, all the haters just want to forget how wonderful the Bill of Rights and the Constitution actually are. And specifically this idea that you are innocent until proven guilty. You don't, watch this here, Jason.
Is that a turd?
I don't know, it could be a rat, no. It's a piece of coal, where's the mouse?
Oh, that's a gift for Nancy Pelosi.
That's right. And, you know, so this idea that you are indeed innocent until proven guilty has been completely subverted by the surveillance state. By this thing that we now, look at this.
No, wow.
That's really very masculine.
But it's too cold.
I know, but just you can't be wearing that outfit thinking that makes any sense. I mean, unless this guy lives full time on an ice floe, you know, this is like balmy weather for him. I mean, he's got to be freezing his ass off in those mules with open in the back. Ridiculous.
I mean, that guy's out of his mind.
But so when you're sitting together as lawyers and you're saying, okay, what we need, this is not overkill. What we need to have every piece of information on everybody in the world for the last 20 years from every conceivable source, so that if one of those people commits a crime, we'll be able to quickly put it together. No, you miserable fuck, you don't need any of that. And we're in the middle of something, sir. Merry Christmas.
What is he asking for?
I don't know, $5.
Wow, the rate has gone up.
I'm telling you, it's inflation. We should have the beggars opening bid, index.
Yeah.
BOBI, the Bobby.
It's a good indicator of the economy.
It's horrible, the economy.
Well, the higher it goes.
But so when we, this Office of General Counsel, good point. And what happens though with that is all these people get together, they have committees, they have reports, they have excuses why they need more resources. But nobody is sitting there saying, oh, wait a minute, that is not the mission of the U.S. government to investigate everybody in America. That's just simply, you're not allowed to do that.
But wait, there's more.
Okay.
Because it's not just that they want to be able to investigate everybody. I have found out, so they create this Office of the Special Counsel, and then there's sort of like steps, right? When they introduce these national security letters, they can just do whatever they want. And it ties into the questions I was asking that counterterrorism police officer, because when they classify something as counterterrorism,
this is good.
It doesn't apply to the standard First and Fourth Amendment and all that kind of stuff. It kicks in all of these post 9/11 laws that allow them to, on suspicion of national terrorism dangers, do all kinds of things. And remember, that's what they did to open this Trump investigation.
Right.
And Mueller was very adamant that it wasn't a criminal investigation, it was a counterterrorism investigation.
It was ridiculous.
We know why he said that now.
Sure.
But there's another very important player in this whole mix, Charles.
Who's that?
Well, we've seen this photograph. You got to look at my wrist over here. This is the photograph from the White House. Right. We know who these two dopes are, Adam Sharp and Barack Obama. I've identified now this person standing next to Jack Dorsey is Alexander McGilvery, who in July of 2011, he was the general counsel of Twitter.
Wow.
And in 2014, he becomes the first chief technology officer of the White House. Now,
yeah, right.
We've just learned that the general counsel of Twitter earns $17 million a year. Vijaya Gaddy, sorry, that was a legitimate error. That woman was making $17 million a year.
No way. In a company that's
what they said.
That must be from her stock up cash.
Maybe something.
But
okay.
I mean, that kind of money.
Maybe that's wrong. No, we should check that.
But the point is, you can't pay in a money-losing company. You shouldn't be paying bonuses.
The point I'm getting at is McGilvery leaves an obviously high-paying position to become a government. How much could the CTO of the White House be earning?
Including
There's a value to that position.
Well, including or excluding the corruption and bribes that you're going to get on the side.
That's what I'm talking about. So what we need to understand, Charles, is this essentially exchange program of general counsels between Twitter and the U.S. government, because, see, this is a coup of lawyers. This is the insertion of lawfare into the FBI, and now the FBI is allowed to play this lawfare game quite effectively.
Well, again, I would say that it predates Obama, because I remember I have this, I'm not going to say who it is, but I have a friend who was an important government official in the Bush administration who told me after he left, I said, what was it like to try to conduct business, in meetings in the White House and the Oval Office and stuff like that? He said, you wouldn't believe the number of lawyers in the room, that everything, you had to speak hypothetically about every project. If we were to be thinking about X, Y, and Z, this is the way we think about it, to insulate yourself from getting bitten by this oversight law or that oversight, and there are all these fucking lawyers in the room maneuvering themselves into positions of importance such that the principals are basically working for the lawyers. And that has got to be a radical restructuring of that bullshit. Because lawyers are useful, but quite frankly, we have too many laws on the books that are unconstitutional in my view and haven't been tested. And it's not as if, people, let's just walk over here, there's these loud mouths behind. They, they're National Lampoon's, New York Schwanza trip. Well, it's fine. It's actually nice to see a family together on Christmas under the circumstances. But so too many laws, and back after 9/11, I remember, because you were here, I was here, and I remember the mood. I mean, Hillary Clinton was just newly in the Senate, and all of the upholstery and the curtains in the Senate would go on fire every time she walked. I'm just making that part up, but anyway, and the mood was basically bellicose. That Constitution be damned. We're just going to figure out who did this and go and smoke them, and we don't need to declare war. We're just going to do what we want. Right. And it's not as if we only tried that for a week. We've done that for 21 years. Correct. It's like the time a bunch of a baby that's screaming turns into something that can buy alcohol in 21 years. So I mean that's a long period of time. We gave it a test. And on December 25th, 2022, can you say that folks in New York City are better off and safer than we were on September 10th, 2001? And I can say categorically we are not safer. It is a disaster. And what has happened, I want to this is a good segue to something I keep forgetting to talk about. On my trip...
Oh yeah, the robot.
Yeah. On my trip, I was, by the time I got adjusted to Thai time, I was sitting in the airport one morning waiting for a connecting flight afternoon to this place called, spelled P-H-U-K-E-T, but it's pronounced Phuket. Phuket, actually, in the official Thai, which I now speak very fluently. No, I do not, of course. But anyway, I'm minding my own business. I'm there early, as is my proclivity, and I sensed something weird next to me, and I'm like, what the fuck? I start looking around, and it's this big machine, like this big,
R2-D2 size.
Big, with like this thing underneath it, and it's going in an erratic motion, not hitting people. It gets out of the way of people, but it's cleaning this Bangkok airport. And Bangkok is a place where the labor costs are really low to begin with. True. And so there they have automation to make sense. And for a government employee, right? I mean, in Kennedy, by contrast, you have where I arrived a number of weeks later. First of all, it's filthy.
Yeah.
But beyond that, the people who are supposed to be cleaning are all mostly either unionized people making probably way too much money and easily replaced by robots. And across our government sphere, we have just too many public sector employees and retirees making too much money, either doing stuff that is persecuting the average American, or doing a bad job of monitoring our southern border, or you just go through it. I mean, the different missions of our government.
They could replace Joe Biden with a VCR. They wouldn't even have to set the clock, and it would be right twice a day. It's more accurate than him.
I'd take it a big, gigantic step further than that. I'd like to replace Joe Biden with Cat Turd. I think that the person on
Twitter personality?
That would, at least the press conferences would be hilarious.
Absolutely.
And you probably get a lot more done. But so there's this assumption, which is an incorrect assumption, that the government is there to help, and that the people in the government really are there to serve you, and that they're sacrificing. They're not sacrificing. No. Joe Biden didn't sacrifice one instant of his life to end up with 2 gigantic mansions in Delaware, never having worked an honest day in his life in the private sector. There's no way that happened without more than a measure of graft and corruption.
Absolutely.
Which our mainstream press refuses to investigate, and which I think our FBI and security agencies are happy to have a crooked president in the White House, because they know.
There's a lot of evidence that they're involved.
Right, well, right. They know that, if he tries to step out of line, they can pull. They don't need to pull much out from under him for him to fall down. He does a good job of that by himself. So that this is a mission that needs to be. I mean, we haven't had the kind of robust public debate yet that we really need to have on scope and scale of government and scope and scale of the control of the citizenry over the government. We just didn't have that debate.
Well, let me ask you this. How do you feel about that debate being stifled by the exact people who we want to have the debate about because they've taken control of Twitter through Barack Obama, Adam Sharp, Valerie Caproni, Alexander McGilvery, and the like?
Well, I think that Shitberg Bird
Inc.
coup that you talk about is just an evolution of Mockingbird.
Yeah, exactly.
Mockingbird 2.0. In fact, one wonders about the creation of the bird itself. Is that kind of like an in-your-face marker that not only are we going to commit a gigantic conspiracy, but we're going to be so bold as to give you a clue, of its origins. I mean,
maybe that's true, but the evidence in the public domain seems to indicate that Twitter was actually created by Jack Dorsey and Evan Williams and Noah Glass and Biz Stone, and that they wanted to create an app to make money, and that this was an idea based on texting lots of friends at once. There's other evidence in the public domain, Charles, that shows us that any time an invention comes along that is so significant that it's going to impact society, like the automobile or the cordless phone or Twitter,
or
they come along and take it.
Or assless chaps.
That too. But I don't see evidence that Twitter was created by the CIA. I see evidence that Adam Sharp found out about Twitter, decided it was the killer app for politics, and nosed his way in there and got Barack Obama interested because he needed all this clout to be able to go to Jack Dorsey and say, hey, I'm going to do this. And likewise, he needed Twitter to go to Obama and say, I'm going to help you win with Twitter. And I think he put the whole damn thing together.
Now, when you say nosed, do you mean Schwanza?
Yes. He used the lower nose. Which, if people watch Futurama, they know what I'm talking about. the lower horn.
There you have Radio City. The iconic Radio City.
I love that Christmas Radio City.
I loathe it.
Oh, but I told you that we did some work on the 3D Santa Claus movie there, right? We provided screening services and a little tiny bit of work, not significant, but.
And do you want to go past down into Times Square, or do you want to?
Yeah, let's go through Times Square so people can see all the. We should go also. We should show people the craziness in Rockefeller Center. I know how much real New Yorkers hate Rockefeller Center during Christmas time, but I can tell by your face we're not going to do
No,
that.
we can do it. I'm manageable.
Look at the crowd, Charles.
But there's
it's even worse than it was on my walk up.
Maybe we avoid it on that basis, but all right, we can.
I don't want to make you do anything.
No, we'll do it. We'll do it. It's Schwanza. Schwanza only comes along once a year.
That's what I mean. This is the Charles Ortel Schwanza special. People want to get their New York's worth of Schwanza here.
And I'm not getting a nose ring from my Schwanza.
No,
you can be sure of that. Jumping around a little bit back into the narrative, here's the thing that I think, I'm going to make a prediction about 2023. I think the next phase these assholes are going to try is inserting communications and email into your email to say incriminating stuff, to say that you put it in there when you didn't.
They're already doing that.
Yeah. Well,
saying that I did a bomb hoax, saying that Trump worked with Russia.
Right, but I think they're going to become more aggressive because they have the whole record. And they now can go and say, all right, well, what if we want to argue that so-and-so was really the mastermind behind this idea. Take the Peter Smith memo, for example, that I think was written by an English person, not by an American.
And maybe somebody who wants to personally own all the things.
Right, that guy. And, somebody like that who's basically a twerp.
Yes.
And a twerp with pretensions to rule the world. And so you invent a memo like that, not understanding that I actually speak business. I know, the investment world. I know what an investment memo should look like.
Right.
And that's just like a request for financial support from the bursar of some English private school. I mean, it's just like it's nothing.
Well, right. And that's what he is. He's a teacher.
Right.
And everything is pedagogical to him.
Right. It's like, how many syllables can we put in this? And a good investment memo, a really good investment memo, might be 3 paragraphs with an appendix, multiple appendices. So that was
could be written by somebody like Scaramucci.
No, not by him.
Oh, look, a Festivus poll, Charles.
That's funny.
That's great.
Is that a Festivus poll?
I mean, isn't it? Let's go ask.
All right.
Let's just ask.
Where did you get that Festivus poll?
Excuse me, ma'am. Is this a Festivus poll?
Sorry, what was that?
Is this a Festivus poll?
Not quite.
Oh.
No, it's from the North Pole. Santa gave it to me. He's in the show right now.
Oh, but it looks like a Festivus poll. It's time for the airing of the grievances. I got a
My
bone to
goodness.
pick.
Yeah? What's your bone to pick?
No, it's all right. I'm just joking. Obviously,
Merry Festivus. Nice
not
girl.
a Festivus supporter.
Yeah, she's from Iowa.
Yeah.
But this is not that crowded, actually.
That's what I actually wanted to point out, is that for people who have actually grown up in New York, normally
Have any of us?
you wouldn't. I mean, I'm saying, Charles, for real, you wouldn't be able to see the street right here.
Right. I'm just saying, have any of the people who lived in New York grown up? I mean, we were...
Right. But I mean, like you and I normally have the reaction that was on your face when we were looking at this, which is, I don't want to get into this,
Right.
because there's that moment where you're trapped
Right.
in a sea of people, and it can become very intense, where like you feel
Right.
like you can't leave if you want to. But I've been here about a half an hour or an hour ago, and it wasn't like that, so I thought it was good for people to
Yeah,
see.
it's good. It might be more crowded watching the tree here, but
Yeah, well,
now this, I think, is not far away from, I think next street over is the Today Show booth,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah. So this is the center of evil, Rockefeller Center,
right.
the heart of darkness. What's this?
I don't know.
They're cheering for you, Jason.
Well, probably somebody is street performing or something.
Jason is arriving. Hooray!
I saw tourists walking around with like belly shirts and ripped
Gosh.
jeans.
Yeah, there you go.
I have now, I forget how to say it in Ukrainian, but in Portuguese it's putas no sente frio.
Sluts don't get cold or something?
Exactly, and there was a
ahead.
Ukrainian version, which I forgot how to say, but it's in Russian. She didn't speak Ukrainian.
Now here, I don't know that we can go. There's a Ukrainian flag or some kind of flag over there. Is
What?
it? Maybe not Ukrainian. See it?
Oh yeah, I do. It is Ukrainian.
Yeah, I think we have to go around.
Well, but that's what I wanted to do, was to show everybody the tree and thank you, Charles. I appreciate
problem.
you braving.
I just not.
the
I'm not.
storm.
I'm not claustrophobic, but I don't like to be in a place where there
I know
are people right
exactly.
behind you and you don't know what they're up to.
I know exactly what you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. But I thought this was important for people to see, because it is a big change from the normal level of activity.
Yeah.
And then now we'll go through Times Square and see that. And we
And then
continue.
we could walk by all the empty restaurants and stores.
Right.
And
Now-
it's really kind of sad, because in New York, some of the big cities, I don't know if you've ever been in London or Paris on Christmas, but the
Oh,
big
not on
cities can be magical in nicer times when we're not a heartbeat away from World War III. Rushing headlong in that direction, being pushed by the United States of America, as far as I can tell, by this idiot.
They had a scroll on Fox when I was walking up that Zelensky made a defiant Christmas speech.
He did.
Where he
So-
told people to, resist Putin and do all this and that, and he's got another 47 billion coming or something.
I actually think Tucker Carlson is absolutely right about Zelensky. There are a lot of countries facing adversity, including our own.
Yes.
Before we get to that, but let's say in the Christmas and Schwanza and
Spirit.
Festivus spirit, let's say that we do believe a great power, or a once great power, that's trying to make America livable again, should give money to to worthy places that really are desperate. The first place I would start is Haiti, right?
Yeah, we wrecked it.
We absolutely wrecked it. Apparently, it's always been bad. I told you the vignette, I'll remind you. that when I was in college, a friend of mine's father was the ambassador to Haiti, and I was looking for somewhere to go in either spring vacation or Christmas or whatever, and I said, hey, you know, is Haiti a place I should visit? And he looked at me and said, are you out of your fucking mind? He said, you know, we have a great place down there, the American ambassador's residence, but you know, I don't feel safe there. You'd be out of your mind to go there. This is in the 70s. So, I mean, there's a nation that has been actually destroyed, first by the French. It had forests and trees and stuff, and what they did is they cut all the trees down. And what that did is it caused a lot of the topsoil to wash out. And
why did they do that? To make boats?
Just to sell the trees.
Wow.
And, you know, some argue that that's the root cause of Haiti's poverty, that it once was a very nice place, but the foreign invaders basically came in.
I believe that.
And destroyed it. And then in the recent 2010 debacle, Bill Clinton and Tony Blair and a lot of other people used the wretched plight of the Haitians as an excuse to source all kinds of aid flow, which they pilfered. They arranged themselves to pilfer. Jesus, you're going to come all the way here to get a donut?
Cupcakes are the thing from Magnolia.
I know, but you're going to come from Tokyo for a cupcake?
It's, you know, it's one of those things to do when you're in New York. Try a Magnolia.
Right, but staying on wretched Haitians, I mean, we have, I think, and not because of their color, but because of their proximity and because that nation is in our hemisphere, we have a solemn obligation to find out what happened to that aid money, to then hold the criminals who are innocent now until proven guilty, let them go through a real trial, let them have defense attorneys and all that, but go through that process, and if we can, or somebody can prove that these thugs stole billions of dollars to line their own pockets and left the miserable Haitians worse than they were, that will send quite a message that America's approach to foreign aid is changing.
Right.
And we will finally maybe do some good. It's not a big country, Haiti. I mean, it's
an island, isn't it?
Yeah, it might be a series of a few islands, but...
Do you want to go over there?
Yeah. And well, let's do it. Let's not rush.
Yeah, this guy's going crazy.
Yeah, let's go over here. I just don't want to get hit. I'm sure you don't.
Why not?
I don't know.
I agree with you on that, Charles.
Right.
So it's an island, and it's a small country. And
so we couldn't do that. And last I checked, you know, the Haitian people don't have nuclear weapons.
No.
For that idiot, and he is an idiot, Lindsey Graham, he's a moron. I'm sorry. For him to say on television that's picked
Kill
up
Putin.
that our goal, it's not enough to go back to the status quo ante, or the situation before. What we need to do, because Putin is going to regroup if we do that, we need to go in, we need to get the Russian people to take him out, and then we need to break the country of Russia up.
I mean, it's obvious this is what they've had planned from the beginning. I've been saying that for months.
This is 11 time zones. I flew from Tokyo across to London on the day of the attempted coup in 1991 on BA 007. It was a great flight. And I was marveled, because it was a long day flight, at how vast that country is. To think that this country...
Concorde?
No. It was standard 747 first class, but it was nice. It was a nice flight. So, but the point is, we can't do Haiti properly. We can't help the people of Haiti. How in God's name is America? That's a great show. This Yellowstone.
Yellowstone.
Yeah, that's Joe Biden. Yellow, no stone. No stones. Careful here.
Well, we forgot to discuss, Charles, today's movie tribute, which is it's a blunder-filled life.
The art department. I mean, give the goddamn department some time off, Jason. You're working them they're like Santa's elves here.
Well, we got Joe and the missus, of course, and then we have his three unwise men, Hunter, B-Rock, and Bubba. And then, of course, Charles, there you are wearing your Schwanza hat. So
I
that's
got to get in that Schwanza merch business.
Exactly.
I could be the next Ralph Lauren and Charles Ortel, the Schwanza merch.
I think you need a Schwanza flamethrower. That was the most successful piece of merchandise from Spaceballs and also
Is that right?
Tesla.
Is that right? That's great.
Or Boring Company, I think, made this flamethrower.
Yes. Is Biden going to go on the board of that one?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Or how about Kamala? I mean, giving these speeches now that she's not getting enough credit for her leadership.
Well, this is like the people who want $30 an hour to work at McDonald's, so they fire them and put in robots.
Right, but I mean, seriously, I mean, real leaders are obvious.
Yes, you don't need to ask for credit.
You don't go, right, excuse me, I've spent a lot of time today leading you. You need to thank me.
Right. What's happening with James Earl Jones here?
It's his theater.
He has a theater?
Yeah.
But he's still alive. Why does he have a theater?
I don't know. He's got a deep voice. He said,
Yeah,
you need a theater.
Darth Vader,
You know where he
musical.
lives?
No.
Near Poughkeepsie.
What the hell is he doing there?
That's just near where I used to live, so I happen to know that. Anyway, so now we're into almost to Times Square. We're on a side street. And again, in the day, pre-social media, pre-internet, this used to be humming. And people used to love to go to shows. They would typically come in from out of town, and there'd be local people from Manhattan and the five boroughs who would come as well. But they'd come in typically if for either lunch in the show or dinner in the show, or in some different order. They would stay in hotels around here. They might, if they stay overnight, they'd have multiple meals. And really, there's a lot of energy. And all the musicals, as far as I could tell, were exactly the same. I mean, I can't tell the difference between it's all yada yada yada.
You don't
yada,
want to go
yada,
see
yada.
Back to the Future, the musical?
No,
Oh.
no.
Did you know that they had a Hard Rock Hotel here, Charles? It's pretty new, I think.
Actually, I was in Penang, and they had a Hard Rock Hotel in Penang is an island, and there's a portion of it called. It's got a great name. Carvel.
I love Carvel.
Do you?
It's junk food, but I love it.
So I'll get back to Carvel in a second, but they have a great part of Penang Island called Batu Ferengi.
Really?
Yeah, and Batu Ferengi, they have a Hard Rock, and it's actually very nice.
Something
It's a big
chemically
hotel.
weird over here. You smell that?
It's really, I think it's from that cart over there.
Yeah, something.
It's got to be this green energy, right? This is like
Oh.
direct from Joe Biden's toilet.
Yes,
and
it's
Nancy.
this thing.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, can you imagine? Say, I think I'll have an Italian sausage. Could you put some extra smoke on that?
Yeah. Just coat it in diesel fuel before you put it on the barbecue.
That's right.
No, don't worry, we did that already.
Yeah, can I have a vomit milkshake too? I mean, it's just.
What is this? DeLorean.
It's some kind of Black 17 media.
Something.
That's really not a smart move.
There's a lot of people who lead with the baby, Charles, that way.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my baby to trip you up. You're twice
As
the
a
size of
battering
me.
ram.
That's brilliant. Brilliant. You should have a
Baby
bunch more
battering
kids.
ram. All right, so we're approaching Times Square here, Charles. Now, what else has piqued your interest from a news standpoint? We had the robot cleaning up the airport.
Well, and this is to, Obama talks about back in 2007-8 time frame, he's going to fundamentally transform America.
Yes.
And that's what has happened. The size of the public sector in terms of its annual spending and its contractual obligations and debt as compared to the size of the private sector is so far out of whack now. It's crazy. And we're in a zone now where these idiots in Washington really think, we're careful, that that their mission is to dictate the industrial planning, dictate every facet of your life, what you should eat, what medicines you should take. That's not what we need.
Talk about
That's
online.
not what we need. And we certainly don't need Klaus Schwab, what is his title?
Ruling from the anus.
I was going to say the dirtiest tampon on earth. But
He's the chairman of Toxic Shock Syndrome.
exactly. Yeah.
Why is Miley Cyrus hanging out with Dolly Parton?
I don't know. They're both looking for a colorist? I don't know.
Miley's New Year's Eve party with co-host Dolly Parton. Wow.
That's Miley on the upper right?
I guess.
Huh. Should we go into
really
the
seen her in a
triangle
while.
here?
Yeah, sure.
Are you boosted New York City? You know what that really is about
I
is
saw a lot of ads for that.
have you boosted also means to steal.
Exactly.
And
That's
I-
the same thing I was thinking, Charles.
And the answer to that question is yes. We have all been stolen from. Did you see that idiot, our mayor, disappeared, and then they couldn't find him, and he claims he was at a Christmas Eve, I guess, celebration at St. Patrick's Cathedral, and when pressed on where he'd been, he said, well, I was hiding from the New York Post.
What?
This guy is an idiot.
Well, come on, that's not.
But you see, it's from the school of thought that the president or the mayor, the governor, sits on top of the world. You know, by winning an election, you're suddenly you rule everybody,
Boss of everything.
and that is just not right. That has got to be readdressed forcefully, not with violence, but there needs to be a rigorous discussion and debate about the proper scope and role of government everywhere, and particularly in this country. None of us signed up to give bureaucrats and nonprofits and other people watch it, Jason. There's this guy. To give this deep state group authority to try to direct the affairs of the world. Now, on that front, Jason, I've got a plan that's going to set us up here. Okay, and this is tongue in cheek.
what?
This is tongue in cheek for those of you watching. I got this genius idea. I think it's pure genius. I'm a very modest guy, as you know.
Do you want to go to the west?
We can, we could go one block over if you want into.
There's like a little Christmas village over there.
All right, and so it's obvious that we have a major global warming problem today, right? I mean, it's so
It's
freaking
about 18
warm,
degrees warmer today than it was yesterday.
but it's so warm, right? I mean, we should really spend a tremendous amount of money because the planet's getting warm,
There's a
and as you
contingent
can tell,
context
there's snow in freaking Miami, right?
there. 39, I heard.
Right? So it's obvious that we have a real problem with the Earth is getting too warm, tongue in cheek. So if we have a problem with the climate on Earth,
You'll solve it?
yeah, I got a solution. It's simple, and it'll put everybody back to work. Everybody, take every homeless person.
Okay.
We got AOC is obviously a science genius, right? She's probably gonna have to get what?
You don't want to see the Lori Lightfoot musical? Beetlejuice on Broadway?
Oh
There
boy,
she is.
right across from her favorite place, bar open all day. That is
Okay, so you're going to solve
So
the
it's
global
very
warming.
simple. It's very simple. If the Earth is too high, right?
Yeah.
It needs to be moved. You just need to push it out there. Push it.
Oh, Bill Gates is on it already.
Yeah, just push it.
Turning off the sun.
You tell me how cold you want to be. I'll tell you how far away from the sun we get
a couple
pushed.
feet.
Okay, couple feet. So we get a whole bunch of some
rockets.
some thingamajiggy. You know, we strap that thingamajiggy up somewhere.
Can't be that
and
difficult.
we put a whole bunch of clean energy fuel into it.
Charles, there's some
nice.
bird.
That's nice, Lady Bird Johnson. Bird turd.
Well, I have questions about this idea.
But it'll only cost $84 quadrillion.
Oh,
Give me
well,
that
then
money.
do it.
You know, you know me and money. I'll be very careful with that money, and I'll give you reports, shiny reports about what I did with the money, and eventually, you know, you'll be better off.
We've arrived at the birthplace of Schwanza.
Isn't this where you come every week?
Never.
Yeah. You know how you meet people who want to give you a pitch on something?
Yes.
You meet them on a plane or an Amtrak or whatever in a restaurant.
Jesus
What
Christ. This thing just like barked at us as we walked by.
Is that right?
Did you hear that?
No.
So weird.
So, anyway, sorry, you frightened me there for a second.
Frightened
Anyway,
me.
so you know, and you could tell that the pitch is not something that you're remotely interested in at all. You know, and you just like
This is what you were talking about the
Yes,
other day.
yes,
the
the
Paramount
Paramount.
Hotel.
still in business. Well, I used to have a very fancy bar right here,
Yeah.
right.
Actor friends of mine worked
The
there
bar.
because it was super fancy.
Yeah, this was kind of revolutionary in
Yeah.
the 90s. Now, not so much.
Well, I don't know if the moving the planet idea is such a good idea.
Oh,
It's
Jason,
right
come
up there
on.
with dimming the sun. Now, see, the thing that's interesting about this, Charles, you've often told us about your plan to drill for oil in Paris.
Right.
there was an oil derrick in there at one point.
Is that right?
In here.
Wow.
I know. I couldn't believe it.
Right next to Studio 46.
Well, it's
See it over
maybe
there?
it's not a Christmas village anymore because look, it's under construction. Normally, this time of year, this section is a Christmas village.
Well, I don't know. It looks like it isn't.
It doesn't look like they did it this year.
There's no Christmas for you.
And maybe they got rid of the pump jack too.
I think, did I interrupt you on that? You were telling that story about Seinfeld, and every Seinfeld episode is based on the real
Well,
deal?
just that the guy who wrote the episode about Festivus, yeah, that was the documentary. It was called Every Seinfeld Episode is Based on a True Story, and it just interviewed everybody who the true stories happened to. And one of the topics they got into was how they made Kramer after Larry David's actual crazy neighbor, and he wanted to call him Kessler because he said if you use this guy in any way, he's going to become a huge pain in the ass. And Jerry Seinfeld said, I don't know, the name Kramer, we have to use it. And then sure enough, this Kenny Kramer became a problem and came to set and got into a whole big fight with Michael Richards. So then the real Kramer was fighting with the TV Kramer.
That's funny.
And then that became a component of the show.
And then didn't they decide to cast all the characters? There's some episodes where they're casting for...
Yeah.
And did they use the real Kramer?
No, the real Kramer I don't think has ever appeared in the show, but then he has a tour that you can take around New York City where he shows you different places that are
I'd take that tour.
happened in the show.
That'd be funny.
Maybe we could do it. But then they use that in the show where Kramer starts his own tour driving people around.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That show, and I told you about Curb Your
You
Enthusiasm.
guys visiting New York for Schwanza? Did you hear Nancy Pelosi wish everybody a happy Schwanza?
Yeah.
Oh, it's about as dumb as it can be. Where are you guys from? Milwaukee?
Dallas, Texas.
Oh, Dallas, Texas. But the jacket says Milwaukee. That's from Tools.
The manufacturer, yeah.
Well, enjoy New York. Be careful. It's super dangerous now that crazy people have taken over. Be safe.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks for bringing Texas to New York. Merry Christmas and Happy Schwanza. We're spreading Schwanza cheer, Charles. I could tell those people were sane just by looking at them.
Exactly. Good call. Good call. We're going to shortly enter a portion of New York where folks are not so sane.
Right.
And I mean, this literally could be 42nd and 8th could be among the more dangerous intersections in New York City because you got the Port Authority across the way.
That's true.
And that's where the buses come in and out. And historically, it's where child sex traffickers and others come looking for runaways.
You're right. That played a role in the Son of Sam stuff.
Right. Right. So this is a port for those of you not from New York City. Stay out. But if you have to come here, and you go to the concierge at your hotel and for a restaurant recommendation, and they suggest someplace on 43rd and 9th, don't give them a tip. No, at night, just don't even think about it.
There is an extremely good churrascaria. That's 46th.
I'm saying down in this area, 42nd, 43rd, you just don't want to be after dark.
Yeah, I agree. Actually,
And you don't want to cross against the light either. Like this.
Do you know what's right down there, Charles?
Sparks? No, what?
No, I don't know about Sparks, maybe. But Puff Daddy's recording studio, it was. I don't know if it still is, but that's where we set up Daddy's House recording studio down there.
Is it now called, isn't he, what is he called now? Is it it went from Puff Daddy to P. Diddy, and what's he called now?
Well, I don't know. Puffy. Sean
we both
Combs.
need to change our names too. You, Jason Goodman. You
Nah, I
can do
don't like
something
that. That's social engineering crap.
Now, I'm all for women showing respectfully some skin, but in 27-degree weather,
That's what I'm saying. We need to get that Russian phrase.
That could be what you have family crests that have a motto. You can have fake family crests with that kind of really
Workers don't feel
insulting
cold.
stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fortune favors the brave is one of our family.
I would probably put luck is the residue of design.
No, it should be really, bad fortune cookie stuff in Latin or something. It'd be very funny. You have these people puffed up. This is my coat of arms. And you give them
I have a question, Charles. Sam Bankman-Fried on American Airlines first class.
That's outrageous.
I mean, isn't the guy a flight risk? He's literally on a flight.
Well, you see, I think that's part of your limited hangout concept. I think what happened, and there's actually, I sent it to you late last night or early this morning, there's a story they've uncovered secret communications between the Democratic Party and FTX and others. And so I think what happened there is that this was, I remember back when I was at Dillon Reed in the 80s in that bubble, this guy a wise guy comes in, literal wise guy, like a mafia wise guy or whatever, comes in looking for financing for some stupid deal. And I wanted to end the meeting in like 10 seconds, but out of respect for whoever brought the person in, we just had to listen to this bullshit. And he said, listen, I'm going to buy this company over here for $600 million, and I don't want to put any equity into it.
Oh.
And I said, well, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't know, Charlie, I hear on the street I can get magic money. I said, what are you talking about, magic? If you don't know what it is, I'm not going to tell you. That kind of stuff.
Okay.
And I think...
Meeting's over.
Well, no, it was Mike Milken had a way to raise money where he would tell the client that, in order to sell the debt, they had to sell the debt on a certain basis. It was actually really expensive. And he would then take the warrants, the simple way of thinking about it, he'd take the warrants that he demanded the company issue for himself and give it to himself, and it's saying that the investor needed it, but he took it. Watch it.
But that sounds like tricky business.
No, yeah, that's what FTX is. Same idea. It's a scam, a total scam, and the Democrats were in on it. Establishment Republicans were in on it, and the swamp doesn't want the full story to get out, so they're going to take this idiot woman. They've given her a plea deal. She's going to, quote, spill all the beans, but she isn't going to spill all the beans. She's going to spill some of the beans.
Just enough to put SBF in jail and then say,
Right.
See there, it's done.
Right, and the notion, when I looked at that, the most obnoxious story element of that $250 million bail with no real money at risk,
Right.
and him leaving.
$4 million house.
Well, the most obnoxious piece of it was,
That lady just dropped a cigarette down into the subway. That causes fires.
well, I don't think we're dealing with, I don't think that elf has got, she doesn't have all of her.
So Bankman-Fried,
So anyway,
the deal.
The most obnoxious part of that story is the three of them are co-conspirators. The mother, the father, and the son. They should not be alone together.
Right, so fly
comparing
away.
their stories to getting their stories straight. It's ridiculous.
Of course it is.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And the whole thing is preposterous.
Well, and the biggest beneficiary was Joe Biden's campaign, wasn't it?
I don't know. We'll have to ask Karine Jean-Pierre.
Some list showed that. Anything anybody asks Karine Jean-Pierre, she just says, I'm not going to answer that from here. You should talk to the FBI, or you should talk to Hunter Biden, or you should talk to anybody but me.
Somebody needs to make up, that Bassomatic thing. I used to have a bunch of those to give to my kids, and had one in my office.
Bassomatic is
not but the bass on the talking bass on a plaque.
Oh yeah, the singing
bass or whatever. We should do one of those with Karine Jean-Pierre. I don't know. I'll have to take that talk to the FBI about that. I got to leave. I mean, the border is open. I mean, the border is closed.
You're right.
One or the other. It's
But
either
that's
open
the thing.
or
They're
closed.
just saying things that are completely idiotic and not true.
That guy's sketchy as hell. He keeps looking back at you.
The FBI has decided that it's conspiracy theorists who
Sorry
think.
to put my hand on you.
No, that was a good thing to do, and that guy was definitely eyeballing us.
Yeah.
Let's maybe cross.
Let's either go to 7. He's turning around again. Let's go to 7.
This way.
And if he follows us, then we're going to go into overdrive. That's your Burger Mania. We passed that place. And you get your eyebrows threaded there, right?
In Burger Mania?
Next to it. They take the leftover burger and they use that for the thread.
I like the idea of a eyebrow threading burger restaurant because it's no way you're going to get eyebrows in the burger.
Look at that place. It's jammed.
You're right. It says it's the best burger.
Yeah, of course. Because advertising.
Well, here's an alternate entrance to the New York Times. You know something funny, Charles? All the years I had an office right over there, I don't think I've ever walked on this particular street. Oh, no, that's not true. I've seen that De Janeiro place.
De Janeiro.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway.
Rio, right? God, it is cold when the sun goes down.
I think you're not dressed appropriately because I'm feeling a little bit warm.
Role reversal time. Okay.
You're wearing socks, right?
I am, Jason.
That's
It's
a
awfully
rarity.
personal. It is. An awfully
I'm
personal
wearing
question.
2 pairs of socks,
Okay,
Charles.
we just don't need. We're not all that interested.
Well, these are the secrets. This is nothing to me. I mean, even yesterday, 9, I admit, was cold. But 27, when we did Call of the Wild in Montana, it was 11 degrees every day.
Right.
I was going to bring my, I have this like Arctic expedition jacket when we,
Yeah, no, I've worn things like that.
well, when we did the ESPN X Games, I bought the whole, crew expensive super duper winter stuff because not everybody had that, and we were going to be like up on a mountain all day, so we had these like heavy duty.
Yeah, they work.
They are great, but we got there,
It was
and there were
warm.
these big. No, not warm, but the jackets were sort of like bright yellow 21st century 3D, and I figured we're on a mountain, you want to be highly visible. And the ESPN security had almost the same jackets. So the whole time, everybody was coming up to me and the crew like, hey, where do we find the this and that? I don't know. But I didn't wear that. It was a little distracting how bright it is.
Good. Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome. Oh, now do we get interference over here?
We'll make a hard right. Go down
something
7th.
also, Charles, the network in New York City is evolving so much where we used to get interference, we may not. And
It's the only thing that's evolving in New York. Everything else is devolving.
devolving, exactly. Here's a rooftop bar.
Yeah, I think I can relate. Some of the things. Here you go. I love margaritas at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Christmas.
Oh, look, Smoke City under the comic store.
So this is kind of like a vignette a bit. I'm not going to give away exactly what I was doing, but I've told you a little bit that this day was just not going all that well in the morning. So I was walking over, I was early, I figured, you know what, it's Christmas, I'll have a sandwich. I'll have a Christmas sandwich at a deli.
Celebration.
Well, waiting for you, I figured, I'm not going to stand outside and freeze my ass off. So I go into this place that there are a series of places in New York that are delis that are a little bit better than a deli.
Yeah, we're
You
getting
know.
a little bit of interference here.
A little bit better than a deli, but not an actual proper restaurant, with a white tablecloths and stuff. So I go in there and I figure I'm gonna have a ham and cheese sandwich on toast, and so that's what I order. And I'm looking forward to my ham and cheese on toast, with coleslaw and pickle or
This
whatever.
weed vendor is going to monetize the video with the Bee Gees, so I'm trying to talk over the whole time with this video so that it doesn't hear the sound of the music so much and it doesn't monetize the video because this guy's broadcasting sound way over 7 decibels of the ambient audio. You're not allowed to do that. It's a violation of the noise ordinance, and it's going to monetize this video, and it's not something that idiot should be doing. Sorry, so you're in the deli.
And I'm waiting for my ham sandwich. I'm sitting there sandwiched into like people on either side of me. And this waiter comes and he puts this platter down in front of me, and it's an omelet, and it's got potatoes on the side.
Merry Christmas.
And it's like, it was with toast. And a white toast on a plate. And I said, what's this? He said, what you ordered? I said, that's not what I ordered. I
Was
ordered a
there any
sandwich.
ham with it?
There's ham and cheese omelet. And I said, but I ordered a ham and cheese sandwich. No, you didn't. Yes, I did.
Oh.
No, one of those things.
Customers never right in this restaurant.
Right. So I can take it away. I said, no, it's because I can't count. They were just throwing the food away, and I just
Time and everything,
we're
right.
just throwing it away. I just can't. Not a fan of doing it. So I sucked it up, had the omelet. So then that was. I figured I better call a friend. I had that pretty quickly. Went to another deli.
The weed store is open for Christmas.
Of course, why not?
Santa
Hey,
Claus
smoke away before your credit card
Yeah.
bill comes, because you're not going to be able to pay it. You may as well get high.
They stopped taking credit cards according to the door.
No, I'm saying.
So then
you
what
know,
happened with the omelet?
So
and the deli?
I eat the omelet. I leave that place, and I walked into another place because I still had time at a place where I could sit and have coffee. So I order A standard coffee. So in Thailand and Malaysia, if you want what we would call a standard coffee, you have to order an Americano. But if you order an Americano here, that's a regular coffee with a shot of extra shot of espresso in it, which I definitely did not want. So I ordered regular coffee, American style, and then I noticed on the menu an Americano was like $1.50 extra than a regular coffee. I said, I want a regular New York coffee. I go, oh yeah, sir, yeah. Gives me the thing with slaps the cap on it, so I couldn't see the coffee, and I go and sit down and take the cap off. It says it's got all this fucking foam in it.
Like a frappuccino.
I didn't want that. So I have a little bit of...
This person diving into the crowd.
Well, he's an idiot. No license plate on the front.
Probably from New Jersey.
Probably from 100% asshole. But, let's see.
Is it Jersey?
Well, around here, high likelihood, right?
Now notice, Charles, the weed salesmen don't seem to like the cold.
Well, but you don't have to go out to a restaurant. You could just go here and pick through the food. God, who does that?
Veritable smorgasbord.
Who does that?
Wow, look at the tire.
But
normally this whole area is populated by weed sales.
Right, and actually, come January 1st, 2nd, January is going to be brutal.
Why do you say that?
I think a lot of stores will go under at December 31, and I think people will, they're just basically spending and haven't thought through how
they were waiting for the holiday season, and if it wasn't good, they're out.
Right, but beyond that, people are spending, for Christmas on the credit card.
Right.
And then they're going to get the notice either your credit limit is cut or your card is gone and or the interest rate has gone up and you don't have any money. And by the way, you don't have a job. And Joe's.
Looks like Weed World is hiring.
Amazing. Yeah.
See, everybody's an expert, Charles.
That's right. Is that where you get your hats right there?
I don't really ever wear hats except for
You're
this
wearing one now.
type of beanie, which is purely functional.
That's the ski hat, huh?
Oh, wait a minute. This Weed World is closed.
On Christmas. It's an observance of Christmas. I don't think so. That's gone.
Well, I guess they have the little adjunct there. The annex.
Weed World Annex?
Yeah. Weed World to go.
Buy one, get second 50% off.
Charles, if they were smart, they would make a weed Christmas tree and sell that.
Smoke it?
Yeah. You set it up for Thanksgiving, and if it lasts until Christmas, then you're good.
Where, by the way, is Joe Biden celebrating Christmas?
Well, he set up a tree right in front of a door in the White House, which a lot of people commented was completely stupid.
Why did he do that?
That was the question. He's posting his Christmas picture. He's decorating the tree at like 9 o'clock at night on Christmas Eve, which, everybody I know, after Thanksgiving, you go to their house and there's a Christmas tree there.
Right.
Well, it's there until,
Right. Well, he's economizing. And you
communist? What is he?
Yeah. Well, you saw, and I love getting lectures. Ortel's a German name going way back. So I love getting lectures from the people who started 2 world wars about how America should conduct its foreign policy and global warming and all that kind of stuff. And I love that, yeah. Something that's like totally unappetizing.
Really? That looks great to me. A fancy cake like that. Not necessarily as a handbag, but I enjoy that type of artistic cake.
Yeah, I don't need cake, but
wow.
I let them eat cake, Jason. I don't need it.
Cheesecake even?
I've had it in the past, but it's like...
Oh, Charles, we're walking past the worldwide headquarters of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, which whenever I tell people that it goes by NATAS, they always tell me that that's Satan in reverse, which I already knew. Look at this, Charles. There's Joe Rogan being advertised on that billboard there. It's quite a thing to see a podcast advertised, and then here's Avatar.
Yeah, well, they're angry about people of color not getting the jobs.
That, but also what's happening is it's flopping because, first of all, people don't really care about 3D anymore, which I found out about 9 years ago.
But just to go back to the German thing that I didn't finish.
Yeah.
So all these Germans lecturing us about climate change. We got to get rid of our farms now. We got to get rid of this and that.
Back to
and,
coal.
And it's freezing fucking cold across Germany. And some high-level official there is saying, okay, our plan now is going to be, it's got a real ring to it. Candles and coal. That's our plan. We're going to forget about fossil fuels. We're going to use coal, which is really awful to use.
Yeah, it puts mercury into the atmosphere.
And then another one, and candles. Like this is really working well. And then I think I sent you the thing, which is, I believe, true, that some Harvard professor, notwithstanding the fact that it's a Harvard professor saying it, it's true that virtually every modern electronic device.
Oh yeah, that was on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, that's good timing. Yeah, we planned this whole thing. I was
exactly.
Just I read the script.
I
Jason.
watched that.
I read
night.
the script. Yeah. So the thing is that every device
Cobalt.
mined by slaves in the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
He showed video of it.
Where the Clinton Foundation has been very active.
Oh really?
Yeah, over a long period of time. Why? Because cobalt is valuable, and a lot of the donors to the Clinton and other foundations, they want a virtue signal. They want an excuse to go into the Democratic Republic of the Congo, claim they're working on some humanitarian project, when in reality they're scouting for cobalt and other things and trying to get mining contracts. It's despicable. I mean, I think we should just catch a gigantic deep breath and say, you know what? If you're in Montana, which we can question whether you should be there in the first place, but if you happen to be in Montana, and you're at home, and you're frying, you're deep fat frying a Christmas
Just look at
turkey.
this a second, Charles. Does that seem pretty empty to you?
That's thriving, Jason. It's thriving. Obviously.
So you're in Montana.
You're in Montana, and you're deep fat frying your Christmas turkey, and the fucking thing blows up.
Right next to the garage.
Inside the house, next to your bed or whatever, and the thing blows up.
Make sure it's frozen before you put it in there.
Exactly. And your hair's on fire, your wife's on fire, your kids are on fire. You don't say, you know what?
That turkey was delicious.
You don't say, let's go to the hospital using our uncharged electric vehicle, which is never going to be charged in time to save the family, at the burn unit, which is 65 miles away from your house. There are virtues that are tough to put into these models. There are virtues to having petroleum or a hybrid car or whatever, and we shouldn't just rush off because a bunch of people who failed every science class they never took, tell us they have the perfect global model.
It's got to be market driven.
It's just ridiculous, and you really there needs to be, a position. It used to be in England. Oh, that's nice and warm. The court jester. The problem is the court jester is running the country.
Yeah.
There really needs to be somebody who's in the room in every important meeting and has the right to say to some idiot like AOC, that's a fucking stupid idea, shut up, and if you bring it up again for these 15 reasons, until you've taken a science class, balanced a checkbook, and saved some real money, stop advocating for global plans we can't finance, that won't work, that sound good to comic book readers, but make no fucking sense. Stop it.
It's a TikTok pitch.
Yeah, exactly. TikTok pitch.
Oh, they made TikTok illegal to put on government phones.
What are they going to do now?
Yeah, exactly. The dancing.
Can they watch porn somewhere else? Watch this guy.
I don't know if they have porn on TikTok. For some reason, I sort of always never wanted to get involved in TikTok.
Well, you know me. I mean, I have this
think like, yo, guys.
incredible science and technology department advising me on all the things not to know. TikTok? I'm not even on Instagram.
Yeah.
I just reached a point. I have Google, I have this, I have that, and somebody said, you need to go on Pinterest. I said, what the hell is that?
You don't need to go on that.
I might have made the mistake of registering, but there's just a limit.
Just put photos there.
That's a limit to how many of those things you can do.
Right.
And now I think I sent you, there's somebody who has, and I knew when I was reached a point when on metadata, when Obama said, oh, it's just metadata, don't worry about our collecting metadata. That's when I knew you had to worry about collecting metadata. This is a guy who's written a book. Maybe we'll reach out to him, try to get him on, talking about the degree to which the surveillance state surveils you over the last 20. This guy claims in the Zero Hedge thing I sent you that every piece of mail, actual mail, not email, that you have sent in the last, watch yourself there, last 20 years has been photographed.
The outside of it?
Inside of it.
How could they do that?
I don't know.
They're opening your mail?
I have no idea how they do it.
Come on now.
I have no idea. I just don't
I'm
know.
not sure I believe that.
Maybe it's just the cover of it, but why would they do the cover of everyone?
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's correct that they are it's
Every
a hell of
piece
a
of
lot
mail?
easier to have a computer scan the mail and then OCR where it's going to and have a computer control it rather than have a room full of people do that to like sort it, like this is going to California, this is going to Florida.
But I think it's a lot, this we see in the case study, September 10, 2001 forward, we see, at least in the US and in advanced governments, they are incapable of restricting their own impulses to gain more resources and more power over other people. They are incapable of doing that. Every idea is to get bigger, hire more people, be more intrusive.
Don't lose this part of the budget next year. We have to waste it on something.
Well, and this excuse, when it doesn't work, we need more resources.
Pay more money for it.
I mean, that's I was in a place, I'm not going to say exactly what it was, but everything was going wrong. And you talk about it with the people there, and they say, well, the problem is we need more resources.
Right.
We're
not doing the work we're already supposed to be doing, but we need more money to do that and more people standing around not doing it.
Yeah, and so does that in school? Is that how you get an A in school? You go in, you submit a blank piece of paper, and you say, look, I would have given you the typed essay, but I needed more resources. My parents couldn't pay the electric bill. That meant I couldn't use the computer.
Okay.
Oh, we'll give you an A.
Yeah.
Why not an A plus? Okay, we'll give you an A plus. You want to go to Harvard? Sure. No problem. You're an idiot. Anyway.
I'll tell you, Charles.
So, do you think, Nancy, why do you think she used that word Schwanza?
I think she's an idiot.
Do you think she has Schwanza on the mind? That, maybe
Schwanza, because she's probably thinking, oh, it's not that holiday for the Jews. Everything they say is like shwama, shilababa.
But I mean, seriously, if Trump had said, and happy Schwanza,
that would be
happened?
the top story in every single
25th
news.
Amendment.
Exactly. Impeach him. He said Schwanza. That's transphobic.
That's a cultural appropriation.
Yeah. It's everything bad that you could do.
Oh. Well, and these different schools are going crazy. Stanford, we talked about. Some other school in England, I think, was saying that you can't use the phrase Christianity because that's too Christian.
Oh.
Like what? Huh?
Who's coming up with this
I
nonsense,
know, they
Charles?
must be just, the whole academia, it's a department of being seriously fucking stupid. On that topic, about 10, even 15 years ago, somebody told me, and I think it is true, that it is estimated that a third of all peer-reviewed academic papers are absolute garbage.
Yeah.
No, in the sense that they're just invented. They write these papers in gibberish.
Not checked.
And no, just for fun. They say, let's see if I can get away with this. They write something in incomprehensible English, but some English guy uses that credential to get some contract to be a cybersecurity expert later on. I'm not saying he did that, but
could have. Yeah. That's his and hers smoke factory over there.
Yeah. Huh.
That used to be the white pages of China, that building, or the yellow pages of China, some sort of weird company that I was like, what is that doing there?
That must be, can you imagine how many woos are in that?
Yeah, it's exactly. It just goes right to that, and it's all.
But how would you tell? You've got pages and pages of C, woo, comma, C.
I guess we could have asked them, but it's gone now. This dog's jealous of the other dog's shoes.
Booties. I think they're... Oh, yeah. Obviously not taking care of...
That's a King Charles Spaniel.
Is it?
Is it?
Cavalier, yeah.
Cavalier.
Nice. Watch it.
So there you go, Charles.
Yeah.
I don't know, Cavalier, King Charles. It looks like my friend's dog.
So King, you know what a Cavalier is, right?
I'm a little bit cavalier when it comes to dogs, Charles.
Cavalier. Yeah.
Cavalier. Isn't it a type of Chrysler?
I forget it. The Pure was I forget if the Cavalier. Maybe one of our viewers will know this, but
Chevy.
King Charles, of course, replaced. Well, it was King Charles I and King Charles II. One went on a very sudden weight loss program, losing
Yes,
his
chopped
head.
off his head.
Right. That's a tough
There's
way
a
to
lot of
lose weight.
drawings of that.
Yeah, and King Charles II came back and replaced the draconianly stupid and dangerous government that was put in power in 1649.
I don't think it's ever been this quiet right here on this corner before, but
Is this the
low battery.
quiet before the storm?
Oh, I guess the battery got disconnected. Well, we could reconnect it, but I think we're
Yeah, well, I think we're
at the end of our
rope as it were.
Schwanza special here. Thanks everybody for joining us today for a beautiful Schwanza, and thanks to the viewer sponsors who always make the show possible. People can still watch my interview with retired FBI Special Agent Robin Gritz on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth and Odyssey. And we had a great episode of John Cullen Investigates on Friday. John went through a long list of CIA, USAID, all kinds of people working for Meta, working for Twitter.
Really? Wow.
Unbelievable. And these people have written it on their own LinkedIn. So make sure and check that out if you haven't seen it already. Have a great Christmas, Hanukkah, Schwanza, Kwanzaa,
Kwanzaa.
Festivus, whatever you're having. Make it great. And thanks for watching, everybody.